Welcome to D-Lab, where I'm tackling the never-ending pile of tube amp repairs. After getting on YouTube, it's like Pandora's box open. They keep on coming. This time, I have a Gibson EH-125 tube amplifier built in around 1941. This thing came to me from a friend who bought it online, so it's going to go through D-Lab, repaired, and back to him. So let's give it the initial checkout. Here we go. You can see the cabinet is in beautiful condition for something that's 78 years old. I probably won't look that good when I'm there. Alright, anyway, the amp came in one box, tubes came in another box. So this one is identified as the old tubes, and then it looks like they bought some new tubes. So for the initial test, we'll run the old ones. Okay, let's flip this thing around. That's the back cover, by the way. There she is. Close up on it a little bit. Chassis looks super clean. Speaker, I believe that's original. It's got the output transformer built on it. So next, let's get the tubes installed and bring it up on a variac. So here is the tube lineup, which I'll be installing here in a few minutes. You can see it runs a pair of 6v6s push-pull. It's got a 5Y3 rectifier. Control panel is very basic with only a volume control. Alright, let's get the tubes in. So the old original tubes are installed. We're going to bring it up slow on a variac. So she's flipped on. Bring her up slow and watch the current like I always do. So you can see the current coming up as I'm adjusting the voltage up. So there's 50 volts. Let's let it sit there. We'll get the camera inside and see if we can start detecting any life. Alright, lights out. Bringing up the variac. No signal applied. Just notice this thing does not have a power light. I also didn't get that tube in all the way, probably really doesn't matter. Not drawing any excessive current. It's looking good. I'm up to about 75 volts. Oh, and listen there. Alright, she is alive. That's a good sign. I'm not seeing any current spikes. I'm up to about 85 volts now. Getting some buzz out of her. Little microphonic tubes, of course. But it's alive. Has audio. That's a good sign. Next, let's pop it out of the chassis. Give it an underside inspection. I've removed the 3 screws that hold the chassis into the cabinet. Bring this thing up like so. And then you want to take this octal plug loose going up to the speaker so you don't stress that cable. And there it is. Look at that old Pigoramus cap there. Looks like it's still installed. That has to go. Somebody paralleled another one in here, it looks like. But the first thing I'm going to do, obviously, is get that old filter cap out, get a fresh one in there. Let's see what that does to the hum level. Before I remove that cap, let me give you a good close-up tour. You can see somebody got in there and put in a bunch of Sprague orange drop caps. That's good because it probably had those old drippy waxers in there in its past. The AC line cord has been updated to a grounded type. The very questionable connection on the fuse holder. I mean, that's like ready to fall off. So I'll address that later. Here are the leads coming out of the power transformer. You can see a little bit of that waxy goo escaping. That's typical though. I really wouldn't worry about that. Then you get down here and you look at the connections of this filter cap and they're all cold and nasty. So anyway, first task, change the cap. I wanted to close up on this ground configuration here. So this is the ground they used for the two filter caps. Somebody drilled a hole, put a screw through, and just kind of crammed the wires under it. I'm not going to do it that way. I plan to solder direct to the chassis and not rely on some loose mechanical connection. Alright, so the plot thickens. You know, I thought, how can we have the 40, 20, 10 microfarad 3-section cap with only one wire coming out of it, right? Well, take a look at this. Somebody pulled out the guts of that old cap and put a standard axial type in its place. You know, guys, I understand, keep the history and all that, but you can't even see this cap. It's under the chassis. Come on. Game plan would be, I'm going to mount this terminal board where you see that little skid mark on the chassis. Okay. So I'm going to tie these 3 terminals as a common ground. Okay. Once I get these soldered up, I'm going to take some F&T caps. One will be on the back side, one will be on the front side. We'll mount that terminal board here with a pop rivet and solder it direct to the chassis. Terminal board's installed with a pop rivet. I'm going to take old Snozzeramus, the famous D-Lab Unger, solder that ground. Alright, there's our 2 new F&T filter caps. Hit the ground side over here. And then over here we've got the 2 positive runners that will go back up to the socket here, which goes to the choke on the speaker. The new filter caps are installed. I'm going to bring her back up slow on the Variac. Volume's all the way down. Always like to bring caps up slow the first time so you don't shock them. So I'm at 50 volts input. Amperage looks fine, but I bet you we still have that hum because that was more of a buzz than a power supply hum. But either way, those filter caps needed to be changed. Bring her up some more. I'm up around 85 volts. And here it comes. So it still has a little bit of that buzz, you can hear it. But I think I know what's causing it. Let me show you. Alright, so if you take a look at the audio input jacks, only one of them has the little shorting bar, right? So when you push in your audio jack, it's supposed to push that open so that you can play it. Well, this is all sprung and it's all bent too. It's damaged. So that needs to be replaced, and I bet you that once this has a good ground, when the amp is not running, it'll eliminate this buzz. Well, obviously the 78-year-old Gibson amp is going to need a little more TLC to bring her back to 100%. But isn't it amazing an amp this old still fires up and produces sound? So I will be posting a follow-up video of this amp repair. We'll go through eliminating more of that buzz, maybe change out those old carbon resistors that it's plagued with, and make this thing reliable for another 50 years. We'll see you again.